Hey, good afternoon, everyone. This is Futures Brizio here. It is 1:40 p.m. on Thursday, October 3rd. Hope everybody's having a great day. So I made a video about 2.5 hours ago with an update and kind of like a late morning update on the markets. And I uploaded it to my channel, and then I had to delete it because I had a webinar running in the background that I occasionally tune into, a trading webinar. And although my speakers were muted on my computer, the recording software still recorded the audio. So as I was talking on my video, all you could hear was the person talking on the webinar. So it was really frustrating because it was like a 20-minute video, and I ended up having to just delete it off my channel. So if you did happen to click on that, got notified, that's why the video is gone. So I'm going to remake it here, although, you know, it's 2.5 hours later. I just finally had a chance to do it again. But I don't think fundamentally much changed in the last 2.5 hours. But let's go. So as always, before we get started, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel if you're just finding it for the first time. And, of course, any questions, comments, leave them down below. All right, so as always, we're going to start on our cash CFD charts here, index charts versus the futures charts. Again, this is where I just kind of like to do some analysis. So we'll start off on crude oil. So as I've been talking about with crude oil, obviously crude's been in a pretty steady downtrend. Here's the daily chart. And as I had stated in a couple of previous videos, this area, which I've taken the levels, I deleted the drawings, but this area here on the daily chart was also a major weekly area. So we'll just click over to the weekly chart. And again, here's that low right here I just showed you on the daily chart. And you can see here on the weekly chart that this area between about $63 and $65 has been a major support area going back to, you know, really 2021 for really the last 3 years. And so I kind of had this area drawn out as a potential area for where oil might find some support. Now, we're also finding support in oil on just kind of, unfortunately, Middle Eastern tensions with the fighting between Iran and Israel, and you know, potentially, you know, targeting Iranian oil interests. And so all of that is playing into the fundamental side, why we may finally see oil break to the upside and break this downtrend. But, you know, obviously we'll have to wait and see. But I think both factors, both this area on the chart and the fundamentals are pointing towards that. Now we go back to the daily chart. So we had this bounce off the trend line here. We came down, put this new low in, which again is that weekly level. Price went back up, basically came back near the trend line, tried to sell off again. So this is the first sign right here where this puts in a higher low that potentially the downtrend may be over. Now, it doesn't always work that way. You can have these higher lows put in and still have price, you know, rally back and still make a new low. But because, again, of the area on the chart it formed, and also, again, with the fundamentals, I did feel pretty strongly that, you know, that this, you know, could potentially, you know, be an uptrend back up here. And so the other thing I'm looking at here is if we get a daily close above this trend line, so I have this daily close, which we're leaning towards that right now, I think that also would feed into that if we can finally get a close, because we had 2 other days here. If we zoom in, we had yesterday and the day before yesterday where price tried to come back to the trend line and was rejected. But we have today where right now it's trading above the trend line. So if we close above there, that would also, you know, confirm the potential change to the upside. If we go to the 4-hour, here it is on the 4-hour. We had this last trend break, trend line tap, price came down and then rallied, which again on this 4-hour chart is pretty bullish too, how it held this area right here, came back, tested it, and now it's heading up. So again, it's fine if this pulls back as long as we hold this area. But I would love to see a daily close above this trend line. It is off the highs for the day right now. But you know, again, I'm not the fact that it took out this high right here and is now above the trend line. I'm still pretty confident we'll see this go higher. So again, we are fighting a long-term downtrend, so you do have to respect that long-term downtrend. But I do feel like the conditions are there for this to go up, and if it does, it's got a long, you know, it potentially has a long pathway to the upside, at least back to the swing highs up here at, you know, $84, $85, and probably higher. So we'll see, but you know, I'm kind of, you know, shifting more bullish on oil, but we'll see how that goes. All right, moving on to copper. So the outlook that I had been talking about the last couple of days on copper was bullish, that we would see further price movement to the upside. I did highlight, well, let's go to the daily off the weekly chart. I did highlight this area, which you can see this box I've drawn as being kind of a fair value gap imbalance area right here on the daily chart. The price did tap back into right here about 3 days ago, where it came back up into this zone and rejected off of that. And it does look like now price wants to try to go down. I was thinking maybe if we're going to go higher, I was waiting for price to pop through this level, retest, and then go up to this level. But we may not get there now. So if we go to the 4-hour chart and then ultimately the 1 hour, here's the 4-hour. So this was that tap into that zone up here. And then we had this swing, which led to this high. And then we broke this level right here. And you can see price broke through here very aggressively, closed below this swing here, and then has since recovered back up. And, you know, I was holding longs in this. I had a couple of longs in here, but I'm out of all of them now, which obviously was a good decision based on what it's done today, because I just wasn't happy with this choppy price action. It just wasn't really making much progress to go higher. And so now we've broken down below. So we took out this swing right here, and then we've recovered, and now we're back below here again. There is, of course, another layer down in here that price looks like it's trying to hold right here. So basically, this is kind of a neutral area right now. If we get a break below this area, then I would be pretty confident in saying prices are going lower. But we might just chop around in between this here. And, you know, if this area holds and it pops back north and gets back above this level, then maybe the uptrend will continue. And I think at that point we would see prices go quite a bit higher. So I'm kind of in this kind of neutral zone right now on copper. And that's kind of how I remain on it. If we look at the futures chart, it's pretty much the same picture. Here's the 1 hour December futures chart. And again, here's that level it broke up here on this retest, and then here's this other level that I was just showing you right here. And I don't really like these low time frames anymore, but this is a 10-minute chart, and we can see that we do have this little internal trend line right here, and price came back up here, retested this little area right here, and has now rejected off of it. So that could be also a sign of prices going lower. If this turns out to be basically a lower high right here, you know, rejection off of this swing level, and then prices go lower, that's a potential too. So, you know, even though I was leaning towards higher prices in copper, you know, you have to be flexible and say, hey, you know, that might not happen and we might turn lower. So I'm kind of neutral on copper right now based on where it is right now. But again, if we extend this over, then, you know, we're basically in between these two areas of price right now. And this is kind of, you know, the area I'm looking at. You know, again, if we come down and take out this level, break through here, you know, then we're going lower. If we manage to break higher above this little swing here and certainly back above here, then we'll continue the uptrend. So, but as long as it's kind of in between these two areas right now, I kind of remain neutral and out of copper. So, all right, and then natural gas is continuing to chug higher here. So let's go out to a little bit higher time frame on the cash market. And again, we do have this overhead level, which I think price will work its way up to. So I do remain at least short-term bullish on natural gas. As long as we're holding these swings, we do have this trend line here, price is holding, and then we do have this daily swing level down here. And then we have these shorter term swings like right here. This was our last little swing and trying to push higher, although it hasn't been able to break through this high. I do think ultimately this will run up and at least bump up into this zone up here. And if we go out to the weekly, here's that zone right here on the weekly chart. We've got multiple touches of this area in the past. And so, I think we'll get up to here. And then if it gets through here, then certainly I think it could make a run up to this next swing high up here. So, like I said, natural gas, I'm short term. I am bullish on natural gas right now. So I'm not in any trades. I did have a small long on this, which I've since closed. I will wait for a better, pullback entry area, and then perhaps think about getting back in if it hasn't, tagged that upper area yet. Okay, so again, at least short-term bullish on natural gas. And finally, S&P. Again, I don't trade this a lot, but just looking at this, it's just nothing. It's just dead. And I think, a lot of this is, there's a lot of, again, uncertainty with what's going on in the Middle East with, and now we have a port strike here in the U.S., which could affect supply chains. It could affect companies that trade in these on these exchanges, if they could be negatively impacted by this port strike that's going on if it goes on for too long. And also, again, just the tensions in the Middle East, and then also looming very large is a presidential election about a month from now. So I do, expect to see the these indice markets to be pretty muted. We may have some temporary intraday sentiment type moves, but I wouldn't be surprised if we just kind of see a lot of sideways, small range action in the S&P going forward here, potentially for the rest of the year, but certainly over the next month or so. But we'll have to see, how this plays out. I think the fundamentals are going to have a lot to do with this one. From a standpoint of technical, obviously we are still very much in an uptrend. Here was our last swing on the daily chart. We are pulling back now. So, you could say there's another level sitting right here. So on the daily chart that we could, look to support, that would also fill in this little gap right here to see price come down potentially into this area, and then and then maybe continue the uptrend, potentially. But I also wouldn't be surprised if we see it just break right through that area and come back and retest, something down in this area too. So, but we'll see. Like I said, I don't trade S&P a lot, but I'm certainly not rushing in there. There's nothing in here to trade. Unless you're scalping it on a real short time frame, which I don't do anymore. So, so that's the S&P. So that's it, guys. Like I said, summary: natural gas, at least short-term bullish; copper, short-term neutral; and oil, beginning to be definitely more on the bullish side. Not ready to say yet, but leaning much more heavily towards the bull side on oil. Just based on everything I've been talking about for the last week or so and kind of where the fundamentals are sitting. So, So anyways, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully this video recorded better. And again, guys, any questions or comments, leave them below. Make sure you hit that like button. Really helps out. And subscribe to the channel if you're just finding it for the first time. And that would be great. All right. So look forward to hearing your feedback, any questions. And we'll catch you guys all in the next video, and hope you have a good rest of the day, and we'll be back really soon. Okay, take care.